Welcome to the Craft of Coaching podcast, where we dive into what it truly takes to become a skilled, confident life coach. I'm your host, Kate, head of the CLCC, or Certified Life Coach Collective, an ICF-accredited Level 1 coach training program. We combine courage, coaching, and community to offer you more than just a training program, but a life-changing experience where you use your own personal transformation as the learning ground for supporting your clients. On this podcast, we explore how you can use coaching skills to support your clients or expand your own growth, all grounded in evidence-based coaching practices. Learn more about our program and get free resources for becoming a life coach at teamclcc.com. And now, here's today's episode. Welcome, everyone. The topic for today's episode is creating group coaching programs. And that's because when people start to think about becoming a coach, or perhaps when they've just graduated from coach training, usually they're thinking about one-on-one coaching. That's where most coaches start. The math often goes something like this. If I charge $100 per session, which I would say is about an average coaching rate, and I get 10 clients a week, I can make $1,000 a week, which is $4,000 a month. And that's totally valid thinking. And I also believe it's a good place to start. If you're becoming a coach, the first place you want to go is getting really solid with your one-on-one coaching skills. Because every single thing you do in a group coaching environment, you will first need to be masterful at doing in a one-on-one coaching environment. But at a certain point, many coaches decide that they would actually like to expand what they do. They'd like the community of a group coaching environment. They've been inspired by being in their own group coaching environment, or they want to offer some kind of a learning experience that involves a group, even if it doesn't mean that that group is convening together at a specific time. So let's talk about what happens next when you start thinking about expanding your reach and your practice from one-on-one to group coaching. When I say group coaching, I'm really referring to any coaching or personal development that happens in a group learning environment. So this could be a private group, maybe held on Facebook or a Mighty network. This could be a workshop, a retreat, online group courses, an e-course with live support, corporate training, leadership development, breakout sessions at events, lunch and learns. If you're working with people in a group setting, you're in the world of group coaching. And that comes with its own dynamics and skill set. Now, again, before leading groups, I think that it's important for you to know your one-on-one coaching competencies inside and out. And that's because the same skills are going to apply in group settings. Building trust and rapport. You do that one-on-one with a client, I'm here to tell you it can be harder in a group setting. There are more variables. Different people build trust in different ways. In any group, there's always going to be that person who is just like, yes, I'm here. I want to soak it all up. And we all wish that we could get a group that only had those people in it, but you will not. You will also get the person who is showing up and they internally want transformation so bad, but they've been burned before and they are skeptical of authority. And they're sitting back looking at you. And when you start telling them that they can achieve their dreams, they're looking at you like, yeah, whatever, you fakey fake. I've been told that before. I've been burned by that before. And their energy is actually felt and picked up on in the room. So how do you build trust and rapport with all these different personalities in the room? Then there's being client-led, not coach-led. If you show up for a group coaching experience, you will have an agenda for the participants, but I'm here to tell you, your participants are your clients, and you got a lot of clients in the room, and they have their own agenda. Of course, you're also keeping your own biases in check. You're also setting goals or structures for the learning environment, just as you would, help your clients to set goals and a structure for the one-on-one coaching environment. But again, you've got more variables. You've got more people who have different goals, who prefer even different structures. So one-on-one coaching still matters. So given the fact that things can get a little more hairy and a little more complicated in a group environment, why would you want to do this? You might feel a little intimidated by what I've described. But I actually want to encourage you, if you've been drawn to a group environment, to have some trust that you are going to find your way. Okay, so let's get into some of the benefits here. First of all, many people love processing in groups. Some people feel like personal growth is personal. Why would I want to do that in a group? Many people love processing in groups. They realize they're not alone. They find community. They feel seen. So keep in mind that when you're designing group learning, you might be thinking to yourself, expanding their money mindset, that's the goal. Or having a parenting philosophy for working with your neurodivergent child, that's the goal of this coaching experience. I'm actually going to tell you that's maybe a top-level goal. It might be why people get interested, but in group learning, I think it's important to remember that connection is the goal, not just information. Connection is the goal. So the more you create opportunities for people to connect over their experience of parenting a neurodivergent child, or to connect over their experience of the frustration of trying to get through money blockers in their mindset, the more you focus on that connection over just the information, the more you will create a program that is memorable versus one that just, it's helpful, it gives people information, but it's not necessarily the most powerful experience that they've ever had. People love to learn by hearing other people share their stories. It builds collective insight. It keeps the energy alive. And one of the best benefits is ongoing connection. I think if you structure your group well, participants stay in touch after the program ends, which means your work has a lasting impact. It's one of the things I'm most proud of in our CLCC, or Certified Life Coach Credential program. We've got people who are still getting together for retreats. Like, they organize their own retreats to hang out together because they were in the same CLCC cohort. We have people who are still running podcasts years after they've graduated. They met in CLCC. They loved working together. When they were trainees in the program, they're like, let's start a podcast. Okay. So there's so many benefits to the group learning experience that are so worth it for you in stretching yourself beyond one-on-one. So knowing that perhaps you're a little intimidated or could be intimidated about group coaching experiences, I'd like to try to have us spend some time addressing some of the biggest fears that people have. I was thinking about this today. I was thinking about some of my own fears whenever I'm in a teaching environment. And by the way, I'm Kate. I practice courage all the time. But remember, courageous is not fearless. Courage is feeling afraid, because no one gets out of that part, diving in anyway, not bypassing the fear, but actually diving into it and saying, what is this here to teach me? How might I grow? Let me be real about the fact that I'm afraid right now. And then transforming. Because if you are always willing to feel the fear and dive in anyway, you will always transform. Even if it's just an inch. That's what I always say. Even if it's just an inch. So when I come into a new group facilitation experience or group coaching experience, I feel afraid every single time. I actually see it as a good thing. It means something is at stake. So let's name the 3 biggest fears. First one is overwhelm. People might say, how do I manage 10 or 20 people in a group at once? I already feel maxed out just with, having 4 or 5 one-on-one clients a week. The next fear that people have is about learning styles or speeds or pacing. What if people don't keep up? What if there's like this really quiet moment in the group and it's super awkward? What if someone learns differently than how I teach? And then the next fear is mistakes. What if I mess up live in front of everyone? What do I do then? So these are all totally normal fears, but I want to get at the story that's underneath of those fears. If you think about it, all of those fears are rooted in the idea that you've got one shot and you'd better get it perfect. What a great story for the perfectionist fear routine to tell. If you're not familiar with the perfectionist fear routine, check out my book, The Courage Habit, which goes over the 4 major fear routines. Everybody does all 4 of them at some point. Usually one of them is more prominent. And the perfectionist fear routine loves to tell people, you've got one shot and you'd better get it perfect. If you don't, you'll feel overwhelmed, you'll feel dumb, you'll feel embarrassed. But guess what? Of course, you don't have to be perfect. You just need practice. So let's take these 3 different fears one by one, okay? Overwhelm. How do I manage all these people at once? Well, one thing that I do that when I find that it's like there's a lot going on in the group and maybe like a lot of people are raising their hands all at once, maybe people are confused, things like that, I literally will use it as a moment to connect the group. I see that a lot of people are raising their hands. Let's take a moment and just kind of pause. I want to make sure that I'm clear on the biggest thing that's confusing people right now. And I'll just call on one person or maybe 3. And I'll watch as they explain, here's the place where I'm missing what you're saying, Kate. And then I'll watch as the group maybe nods their heads and I go, okay, we're on to something here. And then we can just take that one thread and kind of pull it. It's actually very similar to when you're in a one-on-one session and you feel like the energy has gotten wiggly and you can't quite tell where that client's trying to go. You pause and you say something like, let's back up a moment. A few moments ago, you said this. Tell me more about that. So you pick a thread in the session, you pick it back up. So that's what I do when I feel overwhelmed in those moments. I go, okay, we need to regroup. Let's regroup together. Let's regroup collaboratively. There's no pressure for me to be the one to fix it for everybody. We're all in this together. Everybody is here trying to learn, trying to grow. Let's figure out how we can do that as a group. Learning styles or speeds. What if people don't keep up? What if somebody learns differently than how I teach? Well, as somebody with an instructional design background, I love looking at this one. There's no such thing as learning styles. I know. That narrative has gotten so promoted that the first time I heard someone say that, I went, really? But if you go look into the research, there is no such thing as learning styles. It's not scientifically validated. You were not born with a specific brain-wired learning style. You have preferences, absolutely, but your brain can learn in a lot of different ways. So, what if people don't keep up? Well, I just go into learning experiences going, there are going to be some people who get it really quickly, whatever it is that the group is talking about, and others who struggle. And so let me just think through, how will I support the people who are struggling more? If someone learns differently than how I teach, if their preferred learning style is different, how can I try to accommodate and meet those needs? And that's one of the most powerful things really about group coaching practices, is that even if the way I say something isn't reaching someone, chances are somebody else is going to say something in the group or tell a story about their experience that's going to make that person who didn't resonate as much with what I said go, oh, I get it now. And in CLCC, we have multiple facilitators, and they have different ways that they like to approach coaching and the different ways that they like to approach facilitation. And that's perfect, because someone might not resonate with the way that I teach, but they'll resonate with the way someone else teaches. So meeting more needs. And then there's mistakes. What if I mess up live in front of everyone? Or what if there's a tech issue? Well, let me tell you something. You're going to have a tech issue at some point. I've had them every year. And there have absolutely been times where I just feel like I am not as confident as a facilitator. I stumble over my words. I've said things before while facilitating and then realized I didn't say it clearly, and I've had to say, wait a second, I actually want to apologize and backtrack a bit. I don't think I said that very clearly. Here's what I think I'm really trying to say. Mistakes are going to happen, but one of the things I trust the most about a powerful group experience is that no one wants to waste their time. And because no one wants to waste their time, when you teach, They are looking for, how is this valuable for me? They're actually not looking at you going, oh, how's she going to mess this up? They're actually looking at you going, oh, how's this valuable for me? Oh, maybe this would help me. Oh, is that an idea that resonates for me? Is that an idea that's a takeaway for me? People are constantly scanning their environment, trying to see how they can get value from something. And so if you make a mistake and you actually use that as an opportunity to say, you know what, here I am making a mistake, and collaboratively let me backtrack and say what I'd really like to say, there's always a chance to fix it. Simon Sinek has given talks before about how he completely lost his train of thought. This is the guy who did the Start With Why talk on TED. He didn't do this during his TED talk on Start With Why, but he has given interviews before where he's talked about completely losing his train of thought in front of a large audience. And he still has a career. No teacher is perfect, ever. No group coaching experience will be quote unquote perfect, ever. So you don't have to be perfect. You just need practice. And so to get that practice before you officially roll anything out, how about you run a mini version of your course? How about you try a 1-week workshop? Or teach the material to 5 friends? Or ask for beta testers? Then you get feedback, you iterate, you try again. And that is actually how your confidence in group coaching will grow, from showing up imperfectly again and again. Again, mistakes will happen. I've been teaching since 2002. I know. You're like, what? Yep, that's true, everybody. I'm from the 1900s. So I've been teaching since 2002, and I don't think I've ever led a group where I didn't make some kind of mistake. I've forgotten handouts. Once I ended a speaking event too early. I was hired for a speaking event, and the organizer of the event actually planted 2 different people with cards in the audience. One that would be held up when I had like 30 minutes left, and another that would be held up when I had like 5 minutes left or 15. And I saw someone hold up a card in the middle of the speaking event, and my brain went, oh no, I only have like 5 or 15 minutes left. I don't even remember how many minutes it was, but I thought it was the one where I was almost done. And I started moving to close and ended up cutting like 30 minutes off of my talk that I'd been paid to fly out to Chicago and conduct. Totally embarrassing. I've tripped over words. I've misjudged timing. I remember one time I mispronounced somebody's last name, and I apologized for it, of course, in front of the entire group, and tried to correct it. They got so offended. They were so mad at me, even though I was apologetic about it. I once was closing a group, and I asked for everyone, it was a group experience, it'd been going on for months. I asked everyone to share like a final thought. I was calling on people one by one. I missed somebody, and they told me later that they were really hurt, that I didn't see them. It was so unintentional. But nonetheless, I've made these mistakes. It's human. And what I believe we have to do in those moments is go, okay, what was my intention? What was my impact? Was I of service? Was I speaking from my passion? Did I show up with care? And certainly in times where I have made mistakes, like mispronouncing someone's name or not calling on them when we're having a closing call, I do the best I can. I apologize. I say, I'm so sorry. And I got to say, since I missed that person that last time, I haven't done it since. It was a learning experience, but nonetheless, you get where I'm coming from. What people really remember, frankly, is whether or not you tried to be of service, whether or not you showed up with care. So if you're afraid of messing up, I say, great. It means you care. Now give yourself the practice and support that you need to move through the fear. Group coaching can expand your reach as a coach. It can deepen your impact. It can help you serve more people at once. It can help you create a ripple effect. And yes, it can be intimidating at first. But when you build structure, when you focus on connection over information and connecting your group to one another, when you create a container that allows for imperfection, then you create a container that serves everyone, including you. So, take your one-on-one coaching skills, start imagining how they could scale, and that group coach program that you've been dreaming about, it's doable, and the world needs it. So get in there and get started. All right, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Before you go, would you help us out and take a moment to give us a rating in iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you're listening? It really helps us get the word out to other listeners. And before you go today, would you like free resources to support your coaching journey? Whether you're considering becoming a coach or you want advanced coach skills training, access our coaching resource library at teamclcc.com. Again, that's teamclcc.com. Can't wait to connect with you. And again, thanks for listening.